Just in speaking to me.
One of the classic movie tropes of studio comedies, and especially in the 70s and 80s, is the ever-clever slobs versus snobs tale. You know, the blue-collar underdog against a preppy, often annoyingly sophisticated social elite. Movies like Revenge of the Nerds, Animal House, Wayne's World, or Caddyshack make this the crux of their stories and often use multiple characters in each category to drive the shenanigans all the way up.
I'm a zit. Get it?
But in some cases, a movie will take the story with just one slob and just one snob and crank them both to their absolute extremes. And then we throw in a heist, because we love that shit.
I never realized how far you could go with this scamming thing. You've opened my eyes.
In today's episode, we're going to be talking about 1988's buddy comedy classic, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
I've got culture coming out of my ass.
This movie stars Steve Martin and Michael Caine as two con artists who make an old Western-style bet to run each other out of town. Oh, you wanted to know what the bet was? Well, it's like this. Whichever con can scam a rich tourist out of $50,000 first can keep the cash and claim the quaint French Riviera all to themselves. If the plot of this movie sounds familiar, that's because this movie is a remake of the 1966 film called Bedtime Story, and there was since the 2019 remake starring Rebel Wilson and Anne Hathaway called The Hustle. And although I am a fan of each of these movies, I would be lying if I said that Dirty Rotten Scoundrels was anything less than my favorite one. I mean, we're talking about Steve Martin here. So, if you're in the mood to revisit a comforting and nostalgic film, but you've only really got your lunch break to do it, then step into my time capsule as we flash back to 1988 and revisit Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. I'm Kier with Joe Blow Originals, and you're watching Flashback Features. Directed by iconic puppeteer Frank Oz, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels is equal parts whimsical comedy and exciting adventure. Martin plays Freddie Benson, a low-level American con man who finds himself scamming his way through the French Riviera by way of the sympathy of rich women. Freddie is working people for like $20 at a time and just enjoying the free ride. After scamming a woman on the train into buying him a hilarious meal,
I'll have a double turkey sandwich on white, a side order of fries, one of those large knockwares, 3 bags of potato chips, a chocolate milk, and 2 beers. Why don't you have a beer? 3 beers. Thank you.
he and we get to meet his foil, Lawrence Jameson, played by Michael Caine. Lawrence is a suave, high-class aristocrat type who is also hustling women to get his fortune.
I still want to help.
You must understand, I have powerful enemies. They may be watching even as we... My God, you're attractive.
He kind of pulls like the Sweetheart con, but on a bigger scale. He convinces tourists that he's a foreign prince and he needs their money to help free his nation. Kind of think of it as like the Nigerian prince that emails your grandma trying to get his hands on her savings. These two cross paths and clash almost immediately over Freddie's lack of respect for the hustle and Lawrence's territorial instincts telling him to get Freddie as far from the Riviera as possible.
Yes, I live there. I'm considered to be the town's playboy.
Now, the dynamic between these two actors is unbelievable. Steve Martin can be amazing up against any actor, and we know that.
I look great, don't I? I know the moves.
Yes, Freddie, you're ready. But remember our agreement. I'm in charge. You do exactly as I say.
Exactly as you say.
But he often works best with other comedians like Martin Short and John Candy. But in this movie, Kane plays off Martin in a way that gives us a refreshing break from two comedic actors battling for the joke. Instead, it's comedy versus drama, and it just clicks.
I'm younger than you. I'm better looking than you. I'm thinner than you.
But would you believe me if I told you that the casting for this movie was originally so different that we almost got two completely different actors to fill these roles? What if the movie would have gone according to this original plan? We would have gotten Mick Jagger and David Bowie in the roles of Freddie and Lawrence. Mick Jagger was also the original casting choice for Fletch, so I guess this show is just committed to the bit at this point. While I don't think Jagger is great at acting in general, or good at being intentionally funny, I do think that Bowie could have made for a very good Lawrence Jameson.
Believe me, Freddie, I'm not afraid of you.
The real standout of this movie is the physical comedy and increasingly desperate schemes that these two have to pull off. What starts as a gentleman's game to prove themselves to each other goes into chaotic territory as they compete for the love and the money of a seemingly innocent woman. And that woman is Janet, played by Glenn Headley, who you would know from Mr. Holland's Opus and Dick Tracy. And I gotta say, I love her in this movie.
So he goes, why not? I go, why not? Pretty soon the whole group goes, why
not? It can be very easy to get overshadowed in a film where you're sharing scenes with Michael Caine and Steve Martin, but Headley truly stands out in this film in her own way. She's not only the target of the bet and the mark for the heist, but she's also a fellow con artist who's playing leagues above our guys. And she has her sights set directly on these two. So it's kind of like a spy versus spy thing, you know? You remember Spy versus Spy? The angle that she's working is that she's a slightly naive soap queen from the United States. But in reality, she's an internationally notorious thief known only as the Jackal. And if you've seen this movie, or any of the other versions, you know that in the end, the three of them prove to be quite effective when they work as a team. So really, everybody wins. Now, as we do on this show, we've covered the plot and kind of what happens. Now it's time to take a look at some of my favorite moments from this movie. Basically, it's time for a nice hit of that sweet, sweet nostalgia. Freddie pretending to be paralyzed.
Then I saw you and him dancing!
From the physical comedy of watching Michael Caine sprint across the room and whack Freddie in the legs with a metal rod, to the way that Steve Martin cries when he explains that he's paralyzed from the emotional trauma of his ex-fiancée sleeping with Danny Terrio after they won Dance USA.
And there they were. Naked. Dancing.
This entire gag works throughout the entire runtime that it's in the movie, and it gets increasingly funny and frustrating that we as the audience know that this does not need to happen, because Freddie can walk, so he's doing a lot of extra stuff.
I heard the music, and I pulled myself up the stairs.
The Ruprecht scam.
Ruprecht? Ruprecht!
We need to appreciate that this is the most outlandish and wacky scam in the entire movie, but without it, the movie would lack some flavor. For a short while, Freddie and Lawrence are working together as opposed to working against each other. And in that time, they devise a scam where Caine will use his suave charm and wealth to get engaged to a rich woman, who would then be asked to pay $50,000 as a ransom so that he can leave the country to marry her, only for her to then meet Ruprecht.
May I go to the bathroom first?
Of course you may.
Thank you.
Steve Martin is a very funny guy, but in the 80s, he was at his peak with slapstick gags that complemented his timing and delivery. This is a great example of that, with him making these ridiculous faces and twisting his shoulders and legs to look like a total weirdo, and not to mention the bravery it takes as a comedian to commit to such a silly bit while playing against people giving an honest performance. It's brilliant.
I want you to meet this nice lady.
Mother?
No, this isn't your mother.
Michael Caine's house. Okay, this may seem strange as a favorite part of the movie, but it's really only strange if you haven't seen the movie. Lawrence's house is crazy.
This! This! I want this!
A lot of the movie is filmed inside of this house, and everything we see is stunning. It sets the movie somewhere very elegant in a larger-than-life kind of place, which adds to the adventure. I just think this movie wouldn't have had the same vibe if it was set in, like, the Midwest or something.
Just looking at it feeds my soul.
Not to mention the rest of the silly shenanigans, like Freddy rolling down the stairs at the beach in his wheelchair, or the two getting kidnapped, or of course, the big moment, the grand reveal.
Hello, boys. It was fun. I'll miss you. Love, Janet, the Jackal. P.S. I'm keeping the money. Is that wrong?
Just when both men are wrapping up their bet after it becomes much more complicated than they had ever expected, Freddy thinks he's on home stretch when planning to make away with the cash and get the girl. But in one final stroke of humiliation, Freddy gets taken for everything he made, right down to the clothes on his back. What I love about this movie is that it has a genuine twist that, while being set up and very subtly hinted at, it is surprising all the same. The way these characters are written really make you want to see them both succeed, because that would be extremely impressive, and also we want to see them get what they deserve and be taken down. And Frank Oz, you clever son of a bitch, you found a way to give us both.
Oh, the louse! She is disgusting! She is lying! She is deceitful! She is two-faced! She is conniving! And she is dishonest!
Yes. Isn't she wonderful?
After getting toppled by the Jackal, the movie offers one final scene which sees Janet arriving at Lawrence's mansion, where he and Freddy are reflecting on their losses. She arrives with a large group of people and is seen to be in character for some kind of hustle. She explains to the boys that they can make much more money as a team, and the three bandits ride off into the sunset to rob the wealthy together. Poetic? I don't know, but a fun way to spend 2 hours? Definitely.
You won't disappoint me?
No, I won't disappoint you.
This movie was a hit with critics when it came out. It didn't do great at the box office, but it was received well. It's just one of those nostalgic crowd pleasers that if you're in a room full of people who want to watch a movie, you could put it on and everyone's gonna have a good time.
All my life, I wanted to be the best at something. And I thought I was the best until I met you.
7.5 out of 10. I like this movie very much. Guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. Of course, if you liked it, please make sure you drop a like and subscribe for all the best in movie content. And if you feel like leaving a comment, which would make me happy, comment down below what other nostalgic films you'd like to see me cover here on the show. Also, I'm thinking about trying to make this look more like a time capsule so it makes more sense for the show. So if you guys would be into that, you know, let me know. Okay, bye.
Are you ready? Then let's go get him.
Hello and welcome to Friday Night Flicks. Hopefully you guys can see me okay. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Let me know in the chat. My name is Kier Gomes, as denoted by my awesome graphic here. I'm going to be your host for tonight's live show. Thank you guys again for those of you that have been waiting. I do appreciate it. We got a good one lined up for you today. If this is the first live show, by the way, that you guys are catching with us, we do this every other Friday, every second Friday. So you can look forward to another one of these in just a couple of weeks. And if you want to catch up on anything you've missed, you can go back to the channel and check them out. All right. Farpoint says that I'm coming through loud and clear. Thank you. I appreciate that. Good. You guys can hear me. So what's going on this weekend? What's everybody excited for this weekend? Bad Boys, perhaps? Hopefully. I think I'm gonna get out there on Friday. Oh, tonight. Oh my God, I'm supposed to go see it tonight. I might not be able to. We'll see. So today we're going to talk about a few things movie news related. There's a few, updates that happened this week that I haven't gotten around to talking about with you guys yet. So we'll cover some of that stuff. But the main thing that we're going to focus on, and it ties in with today's giveaway, tonight we're going to talk about the Unbreakable Trilogy, the beloved M. Night Shyamalan series of films. This is something that I don't know how it gets past when we talk about comic book movies. I think probably because it's not based on an actual comic book, but I'm going to give it the praise or at least the attention that it deserves and talk about the full trilogy on tonight's show. So if you guys have thoughts on that, the big thing that I'm going to be looking for in the comments is going to be, let me know your opinions on not just Unbreakable, but also on Split and Glass, because we're going to talk about all three of those movies, and we'll talk about how they work or don't work as a trilogy. Looks like we're getting some good comments already. Hello, Rick Jones. Good to see you again, my friend. Hello, everybody. We got some love from, we got some new people I have not seen in the chat before. Jennifer Half, hello. We got Chris Meehan, never saw the second or third, but loved the first. Okay, good. Yeah, get those opinions in the comments, guys, and let's get into it. The main thing that I want to establish today is I want to connect. So I want you guys to be commenting whatever your thoughts are. Let me know, and we're gonna have one hell of a time. I can't wait to get to Glass because I got a few hot takes for you guys, definitely. But let's start off with something a little more topical to right now. We have Bad Boys Ride or Die out this week, and the reviews are coming in. Of course, the movie's being reviewed very well. These are Bad Boys movies. As a franchise, it's a fun franchise with good talent behind it. And if you guys want to see the Joe Blow review, Chris Bumbray, our very own, did an awesome review. He got to see it a little early. I'm a little jealous, but you guys can scan this QR code, check out that review. Oh, I'm loving it. Comments are rolling in already. Okay, so I'll keep this quick so we can get to the good stuff. But the early reviews for Bad Boys are that it's looking pretty good. Let me see. I got a screen grab for you guys. The early reviews are good. Now, of course, this does happen. Usually, when a movie first comes out, it's either the best movie the internet's ever seen or it's the worst movie the internet's ever seen. And, typically for the average person, it'll be somewhere between that. Now, this seems promising to me. It's the same directors as the previous film, who are also in talks to direct potentially the new Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, which could be good. These guys know how to capture action in that kind of delicious Michael Bay way without all of the overindulgence of Michael Bay, although some still. I don't know. I'm excited to see it. I know that the slap kind of hurt Will Smith's reputation for some people. I know that happened. I think Chris Rock said it best in his stand-up special. It was a lame move, and that's what it was, just a lame move. But I don't know. I'm still excited for the movie. There's a lot of talent behind it other than Will Smith, so it is what it is. Oh, okay. Wow. Look, a lot of good opinions here are already getting into the Shyamalan stuff. I love it. Okay. You know what? I'm going to save a few extra things. We have some movie news we'll cover. I'm going to save that for closer to the end of the stream. For now, let's get into the Unbreakable Trilogy because I'm loving your guys' comments and I'm excited to keep reading them. Okay. So the Unbreakable Trilogy, for those of you that don't know, this was, according to M. Night Shyamalan, as far back as the year 2000 when Unbreakable came out, this was always planned to be a trilogy. Okay. He said it in an interview, like in the year 2000. I found a clip earlier. So, I mean, obviously there is some merit to that. I don't know if this is the trilogy that M. Night planned on doing, and I have theories on it. Looking at some of what you guys think, we've got some folks like, let's see, Jennifer Half. Oh, I'm sorry. Jennifer Half says, not a fan of Glass at all. The ending pissed me off, honestly. Yeah, that was a controversial ending. For fans of the series, that was where I think a lot of people were let down with the idea of this as a trilogy, because you really did have, I mean, Unbreakable is an amazing movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's so good. And then Split, by almost every account, surpasses even that. So great movies. All right, let's pull up some more comments here. We got Hollowfield. Unbreakable was great. Split was pretty good. Glass was atrocious. Woo. Hollowfield, definitely stick around. By the time we get around to talking about Glass, I have some hot takes, and hopefully me and you can still be friends after all of it. Let's see. Farpoint says, how are you not melting right now? I'm assuming you mean because of all of the lights, or maybe just because of the weather, because it's summertime. I'm fine. I'm feeling good. I'm breezy, if anything. A lot of Split fans in here, which I totally understand. Chris Meehan, sick name, by the way. So I'm not missing. Yeah. Wait. Go for Split. I feel like I need to complete it. I don't know. You haven't completed the trilogy? If you haven't, you should. You definitely should. It's worth it. It's definitely worth it. Let's see. We got Eli Samuel Adolfo. You is fantastico. I know. Thank you. Thank you so much. I've been waiting for somebody else to notice. So thank you so much. All right. Oh, hey, speaking of Chris Bumbray, we gave him a little shout out, and now here he is. I saw Unbreakable opening night in the year 2000. I'm going to be honest. I'm envious of that. I did not see Unbreakable in theaters. I'm not going to tell you guys how old I was in the year 2000. I probably could have. My parents might have even wanted to take us, being that it was a comic book movie, but I didn't see it in theaters. Actually, Unbreakable came into my life kind of late. I've told this story before, but I never really appreciated it until about 10 years ago. I had seen it a couple of times and I just didn't get it. And then about 10 years ago, I revisited, and man, am I glad I did. I was missing out for years thinking I didn't like that movie. So yeah, seems like that was the case here. Look, Chris says we didn't know how great it was until it hit DVD. That's when I really that was the first time I saw it, and it wasn't until much later that I really appreciated it. All right, I'm loving all of these comments, you guys. Keep them coming. I'm going to keep talking about the trilogy, but please keep the comments coming, and I'll try to keep up. Okay. Yeah. So here's my history with the Unbreakable trilogy, and it's probably the same for a lot of you. I kind of saw Unbreakable as a great movie on its own. I definitely did not know or expect that there would be more movies in that same canon. And then there was the big surprise when Split came out in the mid 2010s. That was I don't know if you guys remember, but that was a moment for a lot of people, and the internet went nuts because the spoiler, which by the way, spoilers for the entire trilogy, but I mean, to be honest, it's years old at this point. You can tune out, but I wouldn't recommend it. Just I'm going to talk about them. I'll spoil them, but then you can still go watch the movie. So don't leave. But at the end of Split, the big, the M. Night Shyamalan twist, one of them, the big one at the end, is that David Dunn, Bruce Willis's character from Unbreakable, is in that universe, and Mr. Glass, Samuel L. Jackson's character, exists also in that universe. So basically the twist to Split was, oh, this is a sequel. This is a second movie that, many people are seeing, not having seen the first one. Part of the brilliance of that, and the reason why I think it was so well received, is because both movies truly do stand on their own. You can watch them independent of each other, and you're not really missing anything. Like if you saw Split and missed the part where there was any connection to Unbreakable, you still got a great movie, and it wasn't in any way incomplete. And that was brilliant. That was like catching lightning in a bottle. And I think everybody got really jazzed about the idea that now there's this superhero universe of interconnected people. And then Glass came out. And here's a hot take. I like Glass. I think the movie has a lot of flaws. And I definitely think that, oh, sorry, guys. I definitely think that it's a movie that doesn't work compared to the other two. And unfortunately, it's the only one that isn't a standalone movie. As in, if you watch it independent from the other ones, you will be confused. That's a little bit of a letdown, but I also think that's why people don't like it. It's because it didn't feel like an organic third movie the way Split felt like an organic second movie. A movie that nobody was expecting to be a sequel or a follow-up to another film. And it turned out to just be a good movie on its own that got co-opted into a series. The third movie was dependent on you seeing the other two, and it had big shoes to fill, and unfortunately, it just didn't. All right, let's see. Let's get some comments up, and then we're going to talk about Unbreakable first. We gotta shine some light on Unbreakable. Hip hop legend, welcome back. Thanks for being here. M. Night fan since The Sixth Sense. Yeah, The Sixth Sense I think remains one of the best M. Night films. He's made some really questionable movies. He's made some bad movies, but he has made some great movies. And The Sixth Sense, that's one of those ones where despite the twist, it's still good when you go back and watch it. And in some ways, it's more fun to watch after you know the twist, because then you can kind of piece it together yourselves. So I'm with you there, yeah. I love this comment here. Rick Jones says, Samuel L. Jackson is watchable in anything. I got to say, I agree. I've never really seen him in something where I thought his performance was unacceptable. I've definitely seen him in bad movies, but none of the bad movies I've seen him in were bad because of him, if you feel me. Thank you guys so much for these comments. Thank you. I'm trying to get to all of them here. Ooh, Signs. Jennifer Half says, Signs is one of my faves. Yeah, my wife and I enjoy Signs. That's one of those movies that I don't watch as much. I'm not in the mood for alien films as much, as in films where the antagonists are aliens. And so I think because of that, my wife got in her head that I hate it, and I don't hate it. I actually love that movie. We just, I skip it sometimes, but I do enjoy it. Hollowfield. Yeah, he agrees. Signs was a fun film. Yeah, but we're talking Unbreakable. Let's get Unbreakable going here. You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about your guys' first experiences with Unbreakable or Split. Hey, Tyler's here. Zombie Victim. Unbreakable is one of M. Night's best. Just recently got the 4K, and it's gorgeous. Yeah, hey, speaking of that, one of you guys will be leaving this stream with a UHD Blu-ray of Unbreakable. So stick around for that. I'll give you guys details at the end. Know what I mean? All right, we got a few new folk here. Shadow the Statue, welcome back. I liked Unbreakable's low-key ending. Just a conversation, very well done. Yeah, so I don't want to spoil a video I'm working on, but there is something to be said for the ending of Unbreakable and the way that it breaks kind of the expectations that an audience might have from a movie about a superhero or a superpowered person. The thing that I love about it is that it ends with that twist, and then, of course, the glorious freeze frames on both Samuel L. and Bruce Willis. And it just kind of tells you this is how the story kind of ends, right? And then it's not until Glass that we figure out where it continues from there. But I love that. There was no final battle. There wasn't some big purple beam flying into the sky, right? Like we know is so cliche. And there wasn't some insane logic-defying, gravity-defying Superman Fast and the Furious ending. It was just a little bit of volleying conversation, mostly one-sided. It was mainly just Samuel L. saying, this is what I did, and this is why I did it. And somehow it feels like a satisfying ending. You still feel like Bruce Willis gets to win because he gets the knowledge that he needs to solidify what he's going to do. And that's perfect. So yeah, I agree. Shadow of the Statue. Thank you for bringing that up. It is an incredible ending to a movie that could have copped out easily. Like Glass kind of copped out a little bit with that final confrontation, although I loved the final confrontation in that movie. MGS Metal Snake says, "You're a legend, absolute big fan. I weigh 350 pounds." Well, it's weird that you mentioned that, because that's exactly the amount that Bruce Willis can bench press in Unbreakable. How about that? Well, at least that's the amount that he has on the weights when he's in the basement working out. Well, thank you for the compliment. Oh, welcome to the chat, Brad Perkins. What's up? Hi, Brad. I always feel that Unbreakable was the first act of a superhero movie stretched out for 2 hours. Great kind of way to sum up your thought there. I actually agree. And you know who else might agree with you here, Brad Perkins, is M. Night Shyamalan. He actually talked about when he made the movie, he wanted to do, instead of the 3 parts of a comic book where you have kind of your origin of your character, and not necessarily them being born, but the hero being born, right? And being green, and they want something. Then in the middle, they got to prove themselves. They kind of hone their skills. Usually they'll lose a fight or two, and then they'll learn something that they can apply to the third act, which is the big final battle with, whatever the case is, Green Goblin or, Lex Luthor. But in this case, it's just that first part of the comic book. It's the hero being born, and it just is the hero being born for 2 hours. But what I love about that is that it's not stretched out in a sense that it's exhausting. It's stretched out in a sense that it's just spread into the conflicts of the character, and what might it be like for a schlubby kind of blue collar man in his 40s to learn that he has abilities that nobody else has? It's probably pretty confusing, maybe a little bit lonely, isolating, depressing, those kinds of things. That's why I love the movie. It is a little bit depressing and a little sad and a little grim, but it's also got pops of color. It looks like a comic book. It plays out like a comic book. You get an intense scene in this movie where his 10-year-old son aims a loaded gun at him in front of his mom just to prove, if I shoot this guy, he won't die. He's unbreakable. It's insane. It's nuts. So, yeah, it is an origin story stretched out for 2 hours, but I think in a good way, Also, I think this is, probably not a hot take by any stretch, but M. Night is good with camera work. He's good at creating interesting visuals and camera movement dynamics. There's so many good oneers in this movie, just single takes that the camera's doing all kinds of panning from left to right, from character to character, in between people. And it does make it very interesting to watch, very fun to look at. And Bruce Willis's beautiful bald head, obviously. You know what I mean? Yeah, long shots, Chris Meehan. Yeah, we're right here, buddy. You and me. We're seeing eye to eye here. All right, we got a big one here from Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer. I don't know if this makes sense to anyone, but Unbreakable feels like what superheroes would be if they actually existed. I don't know. It makes sense in my head. It makes sense to us. I'm assuming I think I speak for all of us. I totally get that. I think that it's kind of like deconstructing a superhero, but if you're just deconstructing them before they've become the fully evolved version, it'd be like deconstructing Spider-Man when he still has that corny homemade wrestling outfit, deconstructing what he's going through in his infancy as a hero. I love it. I absolutely love the movie for that reason. Farpoint Station, kids shooting people. M. Night was ahead of his time. Yeah, well, that's a sad truth. But yeah, I got to tell you too, seeing that in a movie in the year 2000 was also, it's still kind of shocking to see. Anytime you see a child doing something or putting themselves in a situation that dangerous, it's very unsettling, and it always feels kind of taboo. There's always a part of me that's like, oh my God, I don't know if I should be watching this. I'm grabbing my head, Hollowfield. The color palette for Unbreakable is complete contrast to superhero films of the time. It felt wet and cold. Yeah, in the year 2000, what really was there for superhero films other than Blade, which was also blue and kind of cold. The first one was especially. Other than that, I mean, there was just the superhero films of yesteryears. There was like the Christopher Reeves Superman films, which were very colorful and vibrant. And yeah, this movie was dingy and dark and a little bit depressing in some ways. These shots are like, look at how blue everything is. That's like CW drama level blue. You know what I mean? Oh, whoa, hey. Rhea Layla, I'm so sorry if I'm messing up that name. Thank you so much for the super chat. Please make What Happened to Monkey Bone. That would be a really good one. And you know what? Maybe we'll recommend that because that's one of those Brendan Fraser movies that it's so weird that you bring this up actually because Real Ela. I think it is Real Ela. It's so weird that you bring that up. I was just talking with my wife about movies that you could maybe rebrand and remake that would be generally inoffensive to audiences in terms of like, you would never want to remake Back to the Future because it would just piss too many people off. Doesn't need to be done. But Monkey Bone, that could be a fun movie to kind of remake with, new inspiration and more modern ideas. That could be a lot of fun. If you guys haven't seen Monkey Bone, underrated Brendan Fraser movie. And Real Leela, I will definitely send that up the chain, and we'll see if we can get that video done. Brad Perkins, hello. Underworld has a similar blue and cold palette. Yeah, Underworld, you want to talk about also good cinematography and that kind of, I call it like early 2000s grunge, that kind of like neo-noir kind of just very contrasty black, super dark blacks and super blue hues everywhere. Works for some movies. Some movies are still doing it, God bless them. They're hanging on. Conway, what's up, Mike? Unbreakable is still my favorite. Of the trilogy, yeah, I'm going to avoid saying which one's my favorite of the trilogy because I honestly don't know. I think they're all, Glass isn't my favorite in any category, but I think they're all good for different reasons. I'm going to move on to Split and kind of focus on that one for now. I don't want to say which one of these is my favorite, but I do want to say that in general, I think the most rewatchable one, I know this is a hot take, is Glass because it's the least depressing. It's the least intense. It's the most laughable. I think that one is the most popcorn movie of the trilogy. You can just rewatch it. You can put it on and it's just colorful. It's visually nice to look at and it's there. I think Unbreakable as a standalone movie is one of the great superhero-esque films. Like just in general, what it is. And if you meet it on its level, it's a thriller. It's not really a comic book movie. It's just kind of, there's elements, but it's kind of just like a mystery thriller. And it works for that. But Split works as everything. Knowing that this is in the Unbreakable trilogy, we could call this a superhero movie in some degree, right? It does have some affiliation to the genre, the subgenre. And it works as that. It works as this is kind of not an origin. This is kind of a just slice of life movie of a complete insane person. That is fun. It works as a thriller, works a little bit for horror. The performances are great. The cinematography, it's a small scope story. It's just really good. I think if I had to choose a favorite in the trilogy, there are reasons I could say Split's my favorite and I could argue it and defend it. I'm not going to say it's my favorite in the trilogy, but if it were. Nice, Conway. You saw it twice in theater. You saw Monkey Bone twice in theaters. That's dedicated, Mr. Conway. That is dedicated. Now, Split. Do you guys remember when this came out? I know we talked a little bit about this earlier on the stream, but in case you missed it, this was an event for people because it was not the movie itself, unfortunately, although I think the movie itself, with its own merits, did eventually, like within the first weekend, become its own titan. But really, the hype was after people saw this movie saying, there's a twist, and I don't want to spoil it, and then it just enticed people to go, I have to know what the twist is. I want to go to the movies to see it. I specifically went to the movies to see it because I wanted to know, what is the twist? What's the deal with Split. I mean, M. Night Shyamalan is known for the twists, but then when you have the whole internet kind of simultaneously saying it was well thought out, it was surprising, it was genuinely something fresh, that got me excited. And I was not let down. I did not expect when that final scene kicks in, because it happens, if you guys remember Split, it happens after the final title card. So like the movie ends, Split on screen, okay? And then there's a little, it's not a post-credit scene, but just a post-title card scene in a diner. And there's all these people watching the news, and they're seeing the news of everything that James McAvoy did. And they're talking, and one of the patrons of the diner goes, "This reminds me of that other guy from the news that they gave a silly name." And then Bruce Willis comes out of nowhere and goes, "His name was Mr. Glass." And the movie's over. And in that single, I don't know, that probably took Bruce Willis one take, 11 minutes of his life, I would guess. He probably even did it as a favor. I don't even know. Was he credited in that movie? It might have been an uncredited like favor. But the whole point is that delivered something that unfortunately kind of wrecked the franchise for general audiences who didn't like Glass, because it set an unbelievably high bar for the next one. And I think that while it's clever to go, I'm going to sneak in that this is a sequel to my movie, it does kind of pull the carpet out from the next one if you choose to continue that story, because you kind of pulled your big stunt already. That would have been a great reveal for the end of a trilogy. If you always wanted to make it a trilogy, you should have waited. You should have made 2 films that were unrelated. And then that third one could tie all 3 together. That would have excited people. I think just knowing that Split was the link between the first and last installment in a trilogy made that last one, I don't know. I mean, it was rushed. You know, I go to the Split screen and I spend the whole time talking about Glass. I think that's my cue. I think what I really want to talk about is Glass with this trilogy. We love Unbreakable. I can tell from the comments, which by the way, thank you guys for continuing in the chat. Oh, we got a newbie. Cartoon Man, hello. Hi. Thank you for being here. I genuinely think that the thing with Glass is this could have been great. This could have, I mean, look at the cast. Look who's in this movie. Just those 3 in that shot. You had McAvoy, you had Willis, you had Jackson, and you had Sarah Paulson, who's also an amazing actor. So you got all 4 of them in the same room. You got M. Night Shyamalan, who knows how to make these kinds of movies because he made 2 brilliant ones. You're kind of expecting this to be great. Automatically not tempering those expectations might make the movie a little bit of a letdown. But then the big one, okay? Now this is nobody's fault. I don't think this is M. Night Shyamalan's fault. I don't even think this is the studio's fault. I don't think this is anyone's fault, but it just is what it is. There was like 15 years between Unbreakable and Split. It was a sequel nobody expected and nobody knew that they wanted until we got it. And then nobody was questioning anymore whether or not you could pull it off. They knew Unbreakable is bankable, you know? But what that led to was M. Night Shyamalan going, well, I'm going to dive straight into making the third one. Well, you had 15 years to work on Split, kind of, you know, assuming that you knew that was going to be the next installment. You had 15 years to kind of make sure that that movie was very strong on its own. He dived straight into doing Glass while it was fresh in people's minds. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what I do think the effect of that is people didn't like it. They expected more. They expected it to be this huge project that was going to, you know, satisfy more than 15 years of world building, you know? And so it was a clever marketing tactic. I think it didn't work in terms of, it didn't work for Glass. I think that marketing tactic was awesome for Split. You market it as its own movie, then you tell people it's a sequel, and then people who enjoyed Split will go back and watch Unbreakable. It's perfect. Unfortunately, it does kind of fuck your next movie, you know? Pardon my language, but it's true. All right, let's take some comments. My soapbox ramble is over for now. We'll probably get back into some stuff. I do want to tell you guys some of my hot takes on Glass too, because I have a couple. I think I remember it was the ending of Glass that made you mad. It just seemed super cheesy. Hip hop legend. I'm assuming you're talking about Glass. And yeah, the ending is controversial. It just is, especially if you're a fan of Split, like most of the world. And to answer your question real quick before I get back on my soapbox, John Fallon, my man, my brother, listen to me. Lock in with me right now, Johnny. Please watch Split. I'm not going to tell you to watch Glass. Watch Split. And if you love it, then watch Glass. And maybe you'll have fun with that one. Maybe not. Maybe I gave you a bad recommendation on Glass. I don't know. Definitely watch Split though. John, please. You have to, man. All right. Now, keep in mind, if you guys want, you can leave super chats and then I will talk directly to you into the camera like this. I'll look at you past my glasses. If you want, I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable, okay? But dig deep and you might get some eye contact from old Kier. Yeah, so okay, hip hop legend, thank you for clarifying. Yeah, the ending of Glass. Let's talk about the ending of Glass. Again, spoilers, the movie came out years ago, sue me. The ending of Glass is one of those things that it's easy to say. It would be easy for me to say, well, you either loved it or you hated it. Most people didn't like it. I like Glass. In general, I don't think it's a great movie, but I enjoy it. I think the ending is the problem with the movie. I think you could almost forgive most of the flaws of the movie if you stuck that landing. I think the problem was Shyamalan got a little too carried away with the twists. He got a little too excited about his trilogy, and he tried to work in a little too much there at the end. You had Sarah Paulson, her big reveal. Then you had the very end with Glass's mom, Anya Taylor-Joy, like the victim from Split, and Bruce Willis's son, kind of spreading the word, releasing CCTV video footage of the events of this final showdown, which left all three of them gone. And the whole world saw that superhumans exist. And I think the idea was, now we can make more movies with different characters, but in this same Unbreakable universe where we can just make any movie we want about somebody with some kind of superpower, some kind of super gift, and then we can just tie it loosely into Unbreakable. Maybe by way of Sarah Paulson, who could have been like an Amanda Waller, but it doesn't happen. And the way that ends up letting people down is we don't fucking care what happens to other people in that universe unless you take care of the people you spent 15, 16, 17 years getting us invested in. They did, and Glass is kind of the villain, right? I guess if there's a villain of the piece. What are we doing with that? Because I felt very sad by the way they did him in that movie. I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be the guy I'm not rooting for. They did the same thing with James McAvoy's character. They did this a little bit in Split, but it was better in Split. They make it too easy to feel bad for James McAvoy's character. His name's Kevin in the movie, but he's got like 23 names or something. So, we'll call him Kevin Wendell Crumb. That was his name. Now, the problem is that in Split, they tease it. They tease it a little, that he's got these, these multiple personalities as some shield from some trauma, and a little bit of the specifics. It's good. It's enough to make us go, okay, I see this character as more than just a creep who kidnapped 3 girls, because only one of the personalities did that, and the other 22, they're doing something else. Okay. But then you get to Glass, and they really beat it in. And I like the stuff that they show, and I like the way that they do it. But if you're going to try to make him at the end the beast that needs to be vanquished, don't fucking tell me his whole sad sob story and make me feel bad about him, because I truly feel bad for that character. So then when that goes down, I don't feel satisfied. I don't feel like justice was served. I feel like everybody fucked up the whole way. Conway, you're saving me. Thank you. Conway says his hot take is he liked the ending of Glass. Now, I'm okay with it. Mike, I love you, man. I'm okay with you liking the ending of Glass. I think that that's very interesting, and I respect it. I think the ending was what I didn't like about Glass. And I think it was the ending of the movie, and I think it was that kind of the whole movie didn't feel focused. It didn't feel like it was specifically focused on either of the three. So it almost felt like it was like not cohesive, if that makes any sense. They all do interact separately and together, but the movie felt like there was no, like, we didn't have an in. We didn't have like the straight man POV to like kind of keep us in there. It starts off like Bruce Willis, kind of his deal, which makes the most sense because it's been the longest since we caught up with him. You know, then we get to what's going on with everybody else. And I just think that maybe had the movie introduced a different character to be our kind of window into those three, and then we can see kind of the demise of them through someone else's eyes, maybe that would have made it a little different. But trying to make all three people the hero and then offing all three of them, what the hell are you doing? You know, that's M. Night Shyamalan Last Airbender level fricked up, man. Woo! You guys are getting me fired up. I'm reading your comments and I'm agreeing with almost all of them. Brad Perkins, I didn't care much for Glass, but it did make me happy to see Bruce Willis actually seem to care and put some effort into his performance. Look, I'm a Bruce Willis loyalist over here, okay? You guys ever seen Death Becomes Her? Totally underrated Willis comedy. So good. I love Bruce Willis, and I love him in Unbreakable maybe the most. He's so good at that schlubby blue-collar thing. I mean that as kind of a compliment, you know? But yeah, I don't know, he seems committed in every performance, and you know, hope he's doing okay. I know he's retired, but the reality of it is that Bruce Willis seemed less committed in Glass. Brad, you know, he seemed like that might have been the role. If I had to say, what role was he maybe? I mean, don't get me wrong, great performance. When I say less committed, I mean because it was less about him. He had less to do. He got to show less range. It was really just quiet and angry, you know, until the bitter end. I want to call out, you know, this is for all of you here. Not one of you has mentioned the one flaw with Unbreakable, which is that his kryptonite, his weakness, is water. Can we talk about that? I'm going to go back to my Unbreakable screen here. Or, you know what? Maybe I'll just get back on my soapbox here where you guys can see me. Not bad, boys. Listen. What was I saying? Sorry, I got so worked up and then I lost it. Oh yeah. We were going back to Unbreakable. The problem is that the guy has one weakness, one vulnerability, and it's water. Okay, so he spends the whole movie, if it's raining and he works outside as a security guard, if it's raining, he's got a poncho on. Okay, when he's out on patrol, when he does his one vigilante shit, he's wearing that poncho, you know, and then he falls into a pool. I talk about this in a video I have coming out, so I don't want to give it all away here. I got some goods on this, okay, and a little bit of information that might explain this. I believe that his weakness being water is a metaphor to something that M. Night was trying to say specifically. I'm not going to talk about what it is. Subscribe to the channel, though, and this month you'll be able to watch my Unbreakable breakdown where I talk about what it really is about. I should have called it, like, Unbreakdownable. That would have been a good... Maybe it's not too late. I'll work it in. But yeah, his weakness was water. His weakness was water. Why? If my theory is true, then okay, it makes sense. But what a weird thing, okay? If the purpose is to make him completely unbreakable, don't make his weakness something so easy to accidentally occur. You know, you could get caught in a rainstorm. And he lives in Philly. He's on the East Coast, you know? There's water in the air over there, you know? Anyway, we're going to talk about what it is, but I'm just surprised nobody called that out, because if you ask me, that's like the one thing in Unbreakable that kind of approaches silly to me, is that weakness, but, you know, whatever. We got a good one here from Jake Drew. He says, Bruce Willis's best performance was Cop Out, hands down. That laughing emoji lets me know that you understand how fucked up it is for you to say such a thing. Yeah, Bruce Willis, I mean, he's good at everything, if you ask me. And Cop Out, again, maybe a bad movie, but probably not bad because of him. I don't actually know, honestly. Yeah, we're back to talking about The Sixth Sense. You know, if you guys want to see something on The Sixth Sense, that might be something more for Tyler over on horror, but I would love to do a little bit of that. So if you guys are interested, let me know. Whoa, so many comments. I apologize, guys. I'm trying to keep up as best as I can, and thank you guys for being so opinionated. I do appreciate it. Die Hard with a Vengeance with these guys. Yeah, Die Hard. Die Hard's another one of those franchises. It's probably dead now, but if it wasn't for Bruce Willis retiring, that's probably one that this would be the year for that legacy sequel. I could totally see another Die Hard. And I would not be opposed to it. I like Bruce Willis as these kinds of people, you know, the McClanes, the David Dunns. I like that kind of Bruce Willis. Or like when he played a schlub cop in Moonrise Kingdom, hilarious and so good. All right, guys, let's move on. We've talked about this trilogy ad nauseam, which I appreciate. Okay, but for my man Chris Parrish here, he's itching to get to Venom 3. So let's talk about that. I'm excited. First, let's pull up the trailer. I've already seen the trailer. It's Friday. Pretty low key. I'm not going to react too much. I'm more just going to talk about it as it is. Here, okay. What did you guys think? Let's move on from your Unbreakable comments. What did you guys think of the last two Venom movies? And are you excited for this third one? Let's get to that in the chat, because I'm going to be honest, I kind of am looking forward to this in ways that are confusing. They've completely blown it from what I can see, and you guys can see this online. They've completely blown it with whatever MCU connection they were trying to have this version of Eddie Brock have with Spider-Man. They put a clip in the trailer that kind of makes you think that the symbiote that landed in the MCU at the end of No Way Home is now kind of retconned. Okay. I got that one out of the way. That's going to be a big topic of contention for many people. I don't really care about the canon of the MCU at this point. I'm so confused that I can't keep up, and I don't know anymore. The one thing I do know is that these Venom movies, again, this is me saying we have to try to meet them on their level. These movies are bad Sony Spider-Man spin-off movies. Of that crop, the Venom movies are the best. Of that crop, the Venom ones are the only ones that are even watchable. Okay? What else do we have? Morbius and Madam Web and the upcoming Craven movie, which who knows? I mean, the trailer to me was not as impressive as I would have hoped, but you never know. I like Aaron Taylor Johnson, so it could happen. When I saw this trailer, though, I got into it. I got into some of these things. I think I see what Sony is doing. I think Sony is owning their continuity errors in such a way that I think they're trolling us a little bit. Like they cast, what's his name? Reese. Is it Davies? I think is how you pronounce it. The Lizard from the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. They cast him and put him in this trailer as somebody who doesn't look like his character from those movies. So it's saying it's not connected. But here's that actor in case it is connected. They're basically trolling us who watch the trailer and look for stuff like that. And they're baiting us. And they know that they're doing it. They know that they're putting a clip that makes it look like they're retconning the MCU connection. They knew in Let There Be Carnage that they didn't have the greatest movie on their hands, but they did have Carnage. They know this stuff. And they make their movie accordingly. To meet it on its level, this doesn't look bad. This looks okay to me. It looks like fun. And whatever happened to that? You know, just having fun with a shitty movie. This might be really good. Anthony Hoffman, hello Anthony, says, so sick of these movies. The Venom one specifically? Or are we talking about the superhero movies in general? You know, like superhero fatigue or whatever we're calling it now. Because the Venom movies, I mean, I'm not sick of them just because there's only been two and I kind of enjoy them both. for different reasons. I actually like the first one. Like, on its level, I like that movie. The second one I like because it fully committed to the silliness in a way that was a little bit overbearing, a little bit obnoxious. But Woody Harrelson, Tom Hardy, I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I liked it, you know? Yeah, Conway says, Let There Be Carnage was so much fun. I knew how ridiculous it was. Plus, it was 90 minutes. Yeah, perfect length for any movie besides, like, Lord of the Rings. 90 a brisk 90 minutes. No filler, all killer, just carnage, you know? I do like the carnage stuff that we got, too. Like, the effects and stuff were nice. Better than, like, what we get from, like, you know, Ant-Man 3. You know, like, better CGI than that, for sure. I like this one. Shadow of the Statue says, Madam Web is our generation's showgirls. How sad of a statement, but also hilarious and true of a statement. That's very funny. Horse Venom. Horse Venom. Yeah, Cartoon Man. I know you like that one. We got, you know, we had Dog Venom in the first one. Lady Venom. What do we have in the last one? I don't remember any special animal symbiotes. Horse Venom looks sick, though. It kind of reminds me. Do you guys remember? This is gonna be bad. But to compare Venom to another bad movie, do you guys remember when Ghost Rider with Nicolas Cage came out? There was 2 of those. If you didn't know, by the way, I forgot until recently. I had to review them. But the first one I remembered pretty well. There's a part where he meets the original Ghost Rider, just like in the comics, who instead of having a motorcycle has a horse, and it like Ghost Rider like demonizes the horse. Very similar to this. I love shit like that. Like when Milo puts on the mask in The Mask, things like that, little gags and bits like that. I enjoy that stuff. It works for me a lot. Mark McCarthy. Hello, Mark. Hardy is one of the best actors on the planet. Yeah, you know, I've heard that he's been difficult to work with or something in the past. That sucks. If that's true, that really does suck. But man, the guy can act. I mean, dude. Also, let's. I mean, his performance in Venom, and then we'll move on. His performance in Venom, it's wacky. It's out there. It's something Tom Hardy, like, you know, he could do the serious stuff. He could do cinema acting. He's choosing. This is a choice he's making to do this stuff. I think it's okay. I think he's doing it for a reason, and I think that reason works. So, Venom 3, what do you guys think? Is it connected to Spider-Man? Is that 10-year-old kid that we see in the trailer Peter Parker? Is the movie going to be rated R? It looks like it. It looks like it could potentially get that R rating. We're in a world now where like Deadpool's rated R. You know, Deadpool 2's rated R. Deadpool 3's rated R. This is the last Venom movie. They might just say fuck it and do it. I hope they do. Hardy is an awesome Venom, says Grand Admiral Thrawn. Yeah, I agree. And welcome back. I recall seeing some of your comments on previous streams. I have to call out this comment. King Sport Cal. I have both Ghost Riders on DVD. Good for you, my dude. Good for you. You guys can see this on the channel. I reviewed both of those movies. I kind of made a case for why the first one isn't as bad as everyone says. It is weak, but it's not bad. The second one, though, oh my Lord, that movie was frustratingly horrible. That was maybe one of the worst experiences I've had. Here's a little look behind the curtain of YouTube, or at least of how I do it. I think probably the most frustrating experience I've ever had researching for a video and like watching a movie for work was watching Ghost Rider 2, Spirit of Vengeance. I love Nicolas Cage, huge Nicolas Cage defender, fan. Not ironically, I actually think he's a wonderful presence in any movie. But in that movie, he was insufferable, and everybody else was too. I hate that movie. Whew. Sorry for that, guys. Karima says, love your voice. Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't think I've ever been told that on any video. And I thought maybe it was my mic. Maybe if I get closer like this. Maybe if I talk like this. Ghost Rider pisses fire. Yeah, that's a scene from the second movie. Oh, man, how terrible of a scene. I actually call out how much that scene upsets me. Because we're supposed to believe that Ghost Rider is going to take you and send you to hell. He's peeing fire as a joke. And they show that in the movie twice. They cut back to it like a callback, like it's a comedy callback. That is incredible for me. All right, guys. We got a few other things movie news-wise that I guess we can get into right quick. It's been kind of a slow week for like big news, I suppose. But there are a few things that I think are kind of cool that are coming up. Like Jake Gyllenhaal says that he wants Willie Nelson to star in the next Roadhouse as kind of a tribute. Let me see if I can pull that up for you guys. Yeah. And let me get that QR code out the way as well. So Jake Gyllenhaal wants, as kind of a tribute to the OG Roadhouse, wants to get Willie Nelson involved. I actually was just talking with a friend of mine before the stream, and we were saying how Willie Nelson, I mean, if you're going to get him in that movie, you got to do it soon. You know? He's getting old. Now, he's been 100 years old for like 100 years, but he might not have time to be in that movie. You know? Brad says Flanagan directing The Exorcist is big news. Oh, totally it is. But we talked about that on Tyler's live stream on the Horror Channel last week. So it is big news, but we have already covered it, my man. Ooh, Fallon. I wouldn't consider this a hot take, but it is a take. Did not like the new Roadhouse, not even close to the original. Hated it. I loved the new Roadhouse. I loved it. And I like Patrick Swayze's Roadhouse a lot. I thought this movie, though, was so much fun. It's not on the same level, of course, but, you know, can you take a movie like that from then and make it today as good? Not really. You couldn't do The Karate Kid as good today. You'll end up with something like Cobra Kai, which is good for a few seasons and then whack again, you know? You know what I mean? But it's cool. Jake Gyllenhaal wants to get Woody involved in Roadhouse 2. I like that. I hope it happens. I would love to see that. I know Jake Gyllenhaal's a big fan of that original movie. And speaking of Jake Gyllenhaal, you guys want to hear something crazy? Jake Gyllenhaal, famously the brother of Maggie Gyllenhaal, famously from one of the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. I believe it was the first one. She was Rachel, right? Well, the whole point is this. Maggie Gyllenhaal's directing a movie. She's directing a Bride of Frankenstein movie, and Jake Gyllenhaal is going to be in it. And that might not sound like a big deal. In fact, I can hear the crickets coming through the screen. But one thing you guys might not know is that, you know, while people work with their friends and family in Hollywood constantly, the Gyllenhaals, Mr. Jacob and Maggie, we'll call her Margaret, Jacob and Margaret, they haven't worked together in a movie since Donnie Darko. That's actually the only movie that they've worked together on. So I think it's great that she's directing her. I think this is her first feature. And she's got my boy Gyllenhaal in there. And if you guys haven't seen some of the photos, some stills from the movie, they don't look too bad. You got Christian Bale as a Frankenstein there. Very stylized. I know when this image came out, the big thing was people saying the Joker from Suicide Squad, Jared Leto's Joker, like the new Crow. I like I'm okay with edgy modern stuffs. I can live with it. I really can, you know, if it's good. And Christian Bale, he's kind of only hits, never misses, that kind of thing. Jesse Swarbrick. I hope I said your name right, Jesse. I love the original Roadhouse. The new one, definitely not the original. Connor was overacting way too much. I will say, if there was one thing I didn't enjoy from the new Roadhouse, from the remake, it was Conor McGregor. And I thought his introduction in that movie was, I thought it was incredible. His introduction in that movie is one of the best character introductions in a movie in the last couple of years. The way that they introduced him was amazing. But then, from there, he did get pretty obnoxious. Are you saying, Shadow of the Statue, are you saying that Maggie Gyllenhaal's movie looks like shit? Or Venom looks like shit? We talked about a lot, you know? What looks like shit? Me? I hope it's not me. All right, guys, let's talk giveaway while I still have you here. It's been a fun hour, but I want to give something back to you guys. You've entertained me for this entire stream, which I can't thank you enough for. we're going to give back. We're going to give back a little bit, okay? So we are going to be giving away, let me pull it up for you. We're going to be giving away a new UHD Unbreakable Blu-ray. Now, Unbreakable seems to really kind of be the favorite of the trilogy. It's either Unbreakable or Split, right? And we decided that if you have to own one on UHD, if you must own one on UHD, the one that you must own is Unbreakable. So we're going to be giving this away, okay? One of you will be able to be watching this in no time at all. All you have to do is just compete to win. So how do you win? Let's talk about it. We want to know which film in the Unbreakable trilogy was the most expensive to make. Now, there were 3 movies. Which one cost the most to make? First one to get the answer, the first one that I see in the chat, I'll pin it here to the screen, and you're the winner. You're the winner. Oh, thank you, Grand Admiral Thrawn. Oh, Brad Perkins, that was quick. How did you know that offhand? Because you would have had to Google like all 3 movies and their budgets if you were going to Google for that. And that was not enough time. Oh, this is funny, though. Unbreakable is the correct answer. So, Brad Perkins, you are the winner. I do think it's funny, though, that the first 3 answers that we got were first Unbreakable, then Glass, then Split. So, we got all 3 movies. But yeah, Unbreakable, the first one, made in the year 2000, was the most expensive movie in the trilogy. You would think it'd be Glass because of the amount of star power. Just the movie wasn't like, you know, on a grand scale that looked extremely expensive, but the cast definitely was. So Brad Perkins, congrats, my brother. If you want to claim your prize, go ahead and email me here. My email address is on screen. It's just my first and last name at joeblow.com. Send me an email. I will get back to you. I'll get your details, and we will get your Blu-ray sent out to you as quick as possible. And if you want a little shout out on the next stream, you can also send us a picture when you get your Blu-ray. Send us a little selfie, you know, and maybe I'll show it up. If you're comfortable with it, I'll show it to all of our fans, you know, and then you'll have made some new friends. And that's really what we're looking to do here. Okay. I also want to plug our merchandise. So if you guys want to grab yourself some Joe Blow merch, usually I'd be wearing some, but it's laundry day around here. What can you do? These are great. If you guys like movie quotes on your shirts, but not movie quotes that's, you know, obviously from a movie. So things that are a little more subtle, kind of a tongue-in-cheek, if you know, you know. That's kind of what our merch is. It's movie quotes, but it's stuff that you kind of have to know movies to know, if you feel me. We also have some great horror designs, so make sure you check that out. And make sure you guys are subscribed. The big thing here is I want to check in every single live and see the same familiar faces and new people like I did today. This was incredible. So thank you guys for being so active in the chat. Thank you, Real Ela, for the super chat. We very much appreciate it. And if you guys, if you guys love this stuff and you want more of it, next Friday, Tyler Nichols over on Joe Blow Horror Originals is going to be hosting another live stream. I tune into him every 2 weeks. The last 3 streams, I have been there. He's very entertaining. So if you like what you're getting here, you're going to get more of that with some of that delicious Tyler Nichols flavor all over it over there. Anyway, make sure you guys are subscribed. I don't want to keep you too long. Enjoy your Friday night. I'm supposed to be seeing Bad Boys in 2 hours. So maybe I'll make it. Maybe I'll push it till tomorrow. I don't know. But either way, I appreciate you guys being here. And I will see you on the very next Friday Night Flicks. Goodbye.